This is a Fantasy Ladder Podcast, episode 45. We are now on to the divisional round of the playoffs. Once again, I'm your host, Steve, at Fantasy Ladder, and this podcast is brought to you by the IDP Guys Network. So, welcome back once again, my fantasy football friends and family. Let's climb the ladder of fantasy football together. So, as I said off the top, we are now on to the divisional round, and we are going to basically set things off here going through the schedule of when the games are going to occur, go over some of the over-unders and lines of the game. And then we will kick things off with the Eagles, then the Giants, then the Jaguars, and then the Chiefs, hearing from some of my favorite people in the fantasy football community and fantasy writers as well. So just to start things off, the divisional round matchups, of course, on Saturday, the matchup will begin with the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are favored here at minus 8.5 with an over-under set at 53 points. Then we have the Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are favored here, rightfully so, at minus 7.5 with an over/under set at 48. Then on Sunday, early game, we have the Cincinnati Bengals at the Buffalo Bills. Get the match, the rematch there from Week 17 that, of course, was not able to be fully played out. But glad to see Damar Hamlin progressing well and spending some time with the team. That's great. The Bills are favored here at minus 5.5, with the over/under currently set at 48. There has been a little bit of movement on that line, as well as the line with the later game, and that's the Dallas Cowboys at the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers are currently favored at minus 4 with the over-under set at 46. So we're going to start things off by talking about the Philadelphia Eagles with our guy Joe. So Joe, please tell us where they can find you on Twitter, and please mention any content you got coming out for us.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on. So you can find me at Twitter at jgoody77. All the content coming out for me is on dynastyprosfootball.com. We are currently right now working on our first mock rookie draft, and we're going to go all 4 rounds. So we're going to be pushing that out probably the next week or so. And we aren't done pushing content out. Everybody's getting ready for the playoffs and then getting everybody ready for next year. So, unfortunately or fortunately for those who love it, fantasy football is a year-round sport. So we're ready to go.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, especially in the dynasty realm, just any kind of edge you can find, you can certainly find it at dynastyprosfootball.com, where we are writers, or at least part of the team there. So that's fantastic. I appreciate you coming on. And of course, we have the common interest in being Philadelphia Eagles fans. So we get the Giants. Curious about your reaction to that matchup, and then what are you most confident about with this matchup, and what are you least confident about going into this matchup?
I love the matchup, first of all. And saying that with confidence is pretty much in every skill position. If you went head to head, the Eagles are going to be ahead in just about every dynamic. One can argue that Saquon Barkley individually is a more gifted runner than Miles Sanders. But on the other side of it, when you look at their running game versus the Eagles running game, I still will lean towards the Eagles running game all day long. But, with that, the confidence, the elite talent has to play like elite talent. And if that's going to be your, bread and butter, then that's what's got to happen. And we saw that in the first matchup where the Eagles, bread and butter, killing them down the field, just absolutely all over the place. And then the key to that is the defensive line, 7 sacks in that first game, and they didn't let the Giants get going at all. And when you're forcing turnovers and you're getting after the quarterback, no quarterback, I don't care what quarterback it is, they're not going to be successful. So confidence is that's got to happen again. And let's hope that the Eagles defensive line and the rotation is just about tweaked perfectly with that bye week, and everybody's health is getting better. And, some of those middle guys that looked a little bit tired in the middle. And I'm still waiting. I haven't seen it yet about whether Robert Quinn is a 100% go guy. I know that he was a limited participant today. So having him, just again, another one of those bodies in that rotation, and the Eagles will be set.
Absolutely, yeah. When that defensive line is right, it's a lot of wrong for the opposition. So, and hopefully that they get back to that because with Josh Sweat back, I think he'll be active as well after the kind of a scary injury against the Saints there. But I think he should be back for this one. Just a really brutal line to have to stop, and what you want to do is try to bring Daniel Jones back to how he's been playing in years prior. So he's had a very great season. Got to give him a lot of credit. You got to give Brian Dable a lot of credit, but that's what we want to see is kind of throw him off of his game, try to limit his rushing attempts as far as I'm concerned with, and just really just let him rely on that kind of suspect receiving core as far as I'm concerned. I think Barkley's going to eat kind of like no matter what. But if we can really limit Daniel Jones' ability to escape the pocket, and really make him make good throws, I think that would be the best key to success. Granted, like you said, that our players play the way they should, right? So if Hurts is back to his old self and AJ Brown and Devonta Smith are doing their thing, um, and Dallas Goddard, of course, too. I'm just
Yes.
am a little nervous because uh, week 18 was a little shaky. I mean, we put out the victory. It was a little shaky after the couple weeks there with Gardner Minshew. So that would be the only thing I'm a little iffy on is can they get back to where they were, before the Bears game essentially, right, where Jalen Hurts ended up getting hurt. So yeah, and it's going to be a fun one for sure. It's a third time playing this team in nearly 2 months. Obviously, week 18 you really can't compare because the Giants smartly, wisely did not play a lot of their starters and things like that, which obviously makes sense. But the time before, week 14, in their house, absolutely took it to them. So I think I'm with you on the confidence, but it is always like cautious optimism, right? Because the Giants kind of like to operate in this territory of just kind of like you know playing on the road. I think a lot of their Super Bowl runs kind of had a similar path. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but this is like kind of like it's not unfamiliar territory for them to kind of be in that kind of a position. Obviously, very different teams and coaching staffs and everything else, but it's just one of these things you just have to execute and just not do anything stupid. Which at this point there really hasn't been that many bad turnovers per se. The Miles Sanders fumble against Dallas, whatever, but mostly has been pretty solid. So as long as they take care of business, I think I'm with you in that they can come out victorious.
Yeah, and I would add this. I wouldn't put it past the Eagles that they didn't want to put stuff on tape in week 18 that other teams would get a hold of. And even though it wasn't pretty, I think they were just using tried and true play calling that everybody knows, but they're like, we're going to just do it because we know we're going to do it better than you're going to defend it. And then vice versa. Like, we're going to let your offense do what they want because defensively we're going to be very vanilla. We're going to stay in our shell zone and we're going to let you take underneath because we don't want to do anything crazy with our defensive linemen. We don't want to show any stunts. We don't want to do anything with our safeties where they're cheating up. And, I think the Eagles, I just kind of had this like weird feeling that they sit in the back going, oh, we've been working on this stuff for like months and wait till the Giants see it this weekend. And I have a feeling that's what we're going to see.
I love it. Yeah, it's very interesting. I wonder if there is if there's any like Boston Scott related like prop bets out there because he does have 10. I think it's 10 career touchdowns against just the Giants. It's insane. He is like the giant killer. So I'll have to look around for that. But yeah, I'm really excited for this game and. Yeah, I think there is a pretty good case for the Eagles to succeed. I think there is a world that exists where they could lose, but I just think a lot would have to go wrong. Where even if the Giants are playing above average, we would still, generally speaking, come out on top like 9 out of 10 times. So, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, Joe, just remind everyone where they can find you. And just want to say thanks for coming on.
Hey, I appreciate that. Again, dynastyprosfootball.com. And, my other little key point, and I always like looking for like a small little nugget of something to like, pay attention to because, I coach and I always tell my guys, don't always follow the ball, follow other things going on. And here's one of the ones I'm going to follow: field position. Brett
Mm.
Kern does not look like an all-pro punter that he was for Tennessee, and his 40 yards of punt is not going to be good enough in this game if the Eagles are kind of playing it a little bit slower and going through that. So, like, one of the things I'm looking for is to kind of keep an eye out on that and, like, how does that change a little bit for us when those 4th and 1s and 2s and we get a little more aggressive, because that punt game is like just has not been crisp at all. And, beginning of the season, I didn't like Sipas really much at all. And I was just like, we had a really, really good punter, and then we just let him go because we're like, who wants to pay a punter that much? But that's going to be one of the keys I'm looking for is field position in this game. And then, right now doing a ton of work. We're getting ready for the new, like the Devies are getting ready. Rookies are getting ready. Keep a lookout for all that in content in dynastyprosfootball.com. And you can hit me up at jgoody77 on Twitter. Be happy to bring up whatever I'm looking at and we can talk more about it. And, as I would always say, go Birds.
I love it. All right, Joe. Thanks for coming on, buddy. And we'll talk to you soon. All right.
All right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Yep, you got it. And now we're going to go to the other side of the matchup. We bring on Ryan. So, Ryan, please tell us where they can find you on Twitter, and please tell everyone what kind of content you got coming out.
Hi everyone. You can find me on Twitter at Ryan Ramsaran. Spelling might be a little crazy, but you can just check it out on the screen here. Got content out articles on rotoviz.com, rotoballer, and now that we're hitting Dynasty's peak, I'm gonna be back putting out some content with Dynasty Pros, where I met our host Steve, and Dynasty Nerds as well. So I'm gonna have a lot of content, a lot of articles coming out this week and next, and this off season for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I definitely wanted you to rattle off all the places where you're writing. Otherwise, I would have probably fumbled a couple of those. But that's fantastic. Obviously, you got a lot going on. You got a lot coming out, so that's great. So obviously, Ryan, you are representing the Giants in this matchup. So before we get to the matchup against the Eagles, I am very curious just about your reaction to the win on the road against the Vikings. So if you could please share thoughts on that before talking about the Eagles.
I was ecstatic. Just where they've come this season, getting 9 wins. The coaching has really Brian Daboll has done a magnificent job. Going on the road to Minnesota, where Kirk Cousins is at his prime at home. He struggles a bit on the road, but at home he's been pretty much on point all season. So to bring out a win there was huge. I think the defense came up really, really big. I mean, holding Justin Jefferson to under 50 yards that's an accomplishment just on its own.
Yeah.
TJ Hawkinson was causing a bit of problems, but and I was a little afraid coming near the end of the game, especially with that roughing the passer call, which did not look like roughing the passer at all. But so that's what got me a little on the edge of my seat. But the defense were able to come through, and I think it was huge. I think they're coming in with big momentum going into Saturday, and it'll be tough. But I'm hoping they could pull out another W. They've surprised everyone this year, so hopefully they could surprise everyone again on Saturday.
Yeah, no, and that's really has been the story of the team as far as I'm concerned. Just many times throughout the course of the season, I thought, well, surely, they got away with a win there, but that's not going to keep happening. That just kept happening, so it really speaks volumes to the coaching staff there. Brian Dable was my early season coach of the year pick, but there actually has been a lot of very interesting developments over the course of the league. I think that still holds strong, but there are a lot of cases to be made elsewhere as well. So yeah, another one of those games where it could have gone either way, and they won a very decisive game against the Vikings on the road. It was good stuff, and there was a stat that G-Men J shared in the episode last week where he said that the Giants are undefeated when Daniel Jones rushes 10 or more times in a game. That held true once again here. Against the Vikings. So that's what has me worried as an Eagles fan if Daniel Jones is going to run wild. But going into this matchup against the Eagles here, Ryan, I just would love to hear your thoughts on what you're most confident in heading into this matchup and what you might be the least confident in from the Giants' perspective against the Eagles.
So what I'm least confident in and what I'm a little worried about is the passing game. especially against a defense which I think the Eagles' defense this year had a franchise record 70 sacks, which that is unreal on its own. And they going from a game where Minnesota this year allowed the most yards to wide receivers, receiving yards, and then going to the Eagles who allowed the fourth fewest receiving yards to receivers this year. I think we're going to expect a big Saquon Barkley game. I think he's going to get a lot of usage, especially with the Giants wide receiving corps. Like, this is not the corps you thought of at the start of the season. I mean,
Yeah.
no one was envisioning Isaiah Hodgins being the WR1 and Richie James Jr. and Darius Slayton as the whole core. So losing Sterling Shepard and Wan'Dale Robinson was huge this year. So that's why I'm just happy that they made it this far, especially with that receiving corps. And they've really stepped up. Like, Isaiah Hodgins has been on point. Darius Slayton has made some huge plays, especially last week. I just think Philly's pass defense is going to be really, really tough. So I think Daboll's going to put together a really big Saquon game and some really big usage. And try to get Daniel Jones to get the ball out of his hands really quick, whether it's to hand it off or whether it's to check it down or throw it to one of the receivers really quick. Because the team going up against a team that has 70 sacks this year, that's a bit scary. They got um, 7 sacks that first game earlier in the season, so I think they're gonna try and make a lot of really, really quick plays this year and this game and change it up a little bit differently than they did against the Vikings.
Yeah, certainly. I think it would be to the Giants' benefit to try to keep the Eagles' offense off the field. So I think if they can control the clock and be very successful in the running game, that would be a very nice key to victory. There's a really kind of an ugly Eagles and Saints game at the end of the year where the Saints just completely controlled the game clock, and just the overall time of possession. It was crazy. They started the game with like an 11-minute drive or something, and it topped it off with it was like 14, 15 plays. It was insane. But like all this time went on, and then like the Eagles were just playing catch up that whole way. So if they didn't execute perfectly, it was like, well, how is this just going to keep happening where we just don't have the ball? So I think that would be a good way to get the Eagles rattled. So obviously a lot can happen if they start with the ball or they don't start with the ball. You still got to execute and everything else. But yeah, so I'm cautiously optimistic regarding my Eagles, but I definitely see a scenario, where the Giants can come away with a W. But so you'd be most concerned about the Eagles defensive line. Not so confident in your receiving core, but definitely are very confident in the running game as far as the Giants are concerned. Yeah. So yeah, I think that there definitely is a pretty clear case for both teams to find success. But yeah, so it's definitely gonna be a fun one. Yeah, it's just one of these things playing against a division rival, again, a team that
Yeah.
that has faced each other 3 times now, or the third time now in a span of just under 2 months. It's going to be very interesting to see, if something else gives here. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the turnaround that the NFC East has had just in general has been unreal. I mean, you have 3 teams make the playoffs. One had the bye, and 2 already got past wild card weekend. I mean, looking back at last year to this year, this whole division took such a jump. Even the Commanders were like just on the edge of making the playoffs too. Like, this was like such a big jump just for the division itself. Um so yeah, I think Saturday is going to be a really big game, third time playing. I think it's going to be. I'm hoping the Giants pull out some surprises. I think Daboll's work cooking up something, especially against a tough team like Philly. You can't go in with your traditional game plan.
That's right.
Against
Yeah.
Minnesota, who has a weaker defense, you can, but not against Philly. So I think he's gonna cook up some plays, even more fancy than Daniel Jones doing the Statue of Liberty play on
That
last
was
week.
pretty slick, though. That
Yeah,
was really. I saw that replay like a dozen times. That just like mesmerized. It was awesome. Yeah, yeah. They kept comparing him to Jason Williams, who was like the old like Sacramento Kings point guard, like white chocolate.
white
It just
chocolate.
was
Yeah.
so funny. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was great. But yeah, so Ryan, I appreciate you coming on and talking about the Giants. Just please remind everyone where they can find you and your content.
Yeah, thanks for having me. You can check out my content on RotoViz, RotoBaller, and this off season going to be putting out some more content for both those sites and for Dynasty Nerds and Dynasty Pros. So, and you can check me out on Twitter at Ryan Ramsaran. Posting some fantasy content on there, football, basketball, some betting content. So, yeah, check it out.
And you're a big movie guy too, right? You enjoy the films?
I am, yeah, big movie guy. Put a lot of movie tweets too. So if you're into that, definitely check it out.
I love that. Yeah, but maybe I'll need to have you on and talk about the Oscars or something. I don't know. I think that'll be fun. But
Oh, that'll be fun. I'm in.
oh yeah, absolutely. Well, let's do it. But yeah, thanks for coming on. Hey, you're more than welcome to keep hanging out as we talk Chiefs and Jags. So up to you. But I'll bring on our Jaguars representative here. We'll bring on Brandon. So Brandon, welcome back. You survived the wild card weekend. Yeah. So tell everyone where they can find you and your content.
Yes, so you can find her at Steve, can you hear me? I saw that StreamYard was kind of checking. Okay, so
Yeah,
you can
just
find me
first,
for
if you go
IDP
to the
guys.
top. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So you can find me on Twitter at HeyB3, and I write for IDP guys. I'll be doing a lot of rookie profiles for the magazine and different things like that. And for Dynasty Nerds, with the transfer portal deadline just wrapping up, I'll be doing a Devy piece on all the players that are moving around in crazy college football now.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. I may need to check that out myself because I certainly need some help in the Devi world, as Ryan knows, as we're in that Devi league together. But either way, yeah. So if you could please give me the reaction to that ridiculously insane wild card victory against the Chargers. What was going on in your head from start to finish, and then obviously the sweet relief afterward.
Right. So definitely early on, I thought we needed to start out strong. We definitely didn't do that. Trevor probably had his worst game he possibly could. But the Jaguars have come back from, 17-point leads. Well, this one was a 27-point lead, but they did that against the Raiders and the Cowboys. And I thought, when they finally got that touchdown at the end of the first half, I kind of thought, they could make this a game. I didn't think they would come back and win. And then, to start the second half, since the Chargers had the ball, they didn't get the quick stop, but they did get the stop. And then when the Jags started to, score and they looked more crisp on offense, Trevor had two completely different halves. And I know the Chargers, they'll let you hang around because they can't run the ball. They don't like to run the ball. The funny thing is, usually Brandon Staley is very gambles a lot, and it probably hurt him this game because he played it safe and kicked that field goal that they missed when it was 4th and 3. Where if you go for that, I think they probably make it, and if they make it, that game's probably over. So crazy, everything that happened, went the Jaguars' way. I was so happy that all the fans stayed, for, the stadium was full. I was talking to some people and they said everyone was going to leave at half. And I was like, Duval's just a little different. Like they'll stick, they get a lot of bad, heat from national media, but it's just, they've been bad. But I was like, they're going to at least stick through the third quarter. And then when it was close, obviously most people stayed. So it was crazy range of emotions. I was watching it at home. The whole fourth quarter, I didn't sit down. I was just pacing back and forth behind my couch. Even though that was a close field goal, I was still scared. And, obviously that 4th and 1 call, crazy call, and Doug Peterson has some brass ones, to go for it on 2 and, to run that play. As as an Eagles fan. But very, very exciting game, and and really makes it very good about Trevor, because if he can have his all-time low come back strong, it was a great bounce back performance.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. So at one point, as you're well aware, Trevor Lawrence had as many completions as he had interceptions. So at one point, he had 4 completions and 4 picks. So just a remarkable comeback. But that 4th and 1 play call with ETN perfectly executed. It was fantastic, and a good point about the fans staying for the whole game. I even myself was debating even watching the second half. I'm like, well, why don't I just go to bed early for like once in my life and like feel well rested tomorrow? I didn't. I stayed up because I'm just like, you know what? We have very precious little football left. Let's just watch it and just enjoy it, you know. And then it turned out to be just insane. So I'm all juiced up after this game. It wasn't even like the team I'm rooting for, but it was fantastic to see. Very happy for Doug Peterson. As I said last week, I was very thrilled for the team for that hire. Just did not expect this kind of a turnaround so quickly. And I don't know, the decision that the Chargers made to play the starters in Week 18, I think, just really bit them here. Unfortunately, with Mike Williams getting hurt, wasn't able to play. That may have been the difference in the game. If he would have been an option, I don't know. It's all beyond us now, but it just really is a curious decision to make to start starters when the game just doesn't matter. Like Week 18 didn't matter. It's an odd one, but either way, thrilled for your Jaguars, and now of course they will be facing the Chiefs. We'll get to that matchup in just a second. I'm just going to bring on Axton here. So Axton, he is the Axe Man himself. Axton, where can people find you and your content before we dig into the matchup?
Hey, thanks, Steve. You guys can find my stuff anywhere and on anything IDP, guys. If I'm writing any articles, I've been more on podcasting on screen lately, so you can find us on YouTube, and there's a lot of great stuff. Steve's on there, obviously broadcasting the show, and there's a lot of great stuff up there. So that's pretty well where you can find me.
Excellent, excellent. So we are going to start again with Brandon on his side of the Jaguars and Chiefs matchup here. So Brandon, we already recapped how the wild card weekend went. Please let me know, what are you most confident about, and what are you least confident about going into the matchup against the Chiefs?
I'm most confident that I think the offense will come out strong. I think they'll be able to move the ball. And I think I'm very confident that Doug is going to be like Doug and take some chances. In the first meeting, we did an onside kick the first play, got the ball, but we didn't end up scoring. I think for playing against the Chiefs, that's going to be the biggest part, be scoring touchdowns, especially early. Defensively, it's not a great matchup because we don't really have the greatest corners back in the defense. So they have all the receivers that he can pick you apart. But all it's going to be is, bend but don't break defense. Try to cause, a couple turnovers like we did in the first game. Pacheco had a fumble and Mahomes had an interception. Actually, in the first game, we missed 2 field goals, and missed some opportunities. Obviously the Chiefs didn't play as well as they could have. It was a 27-17 game, and we couldn't really get the ball back in the fourth quarter. But I think that's going to be the biggest thing. And I think a lot of people in Jacksonville have been talking to the confidence in the team, as we saw last week, even going down 27-0 and still having the belief they can win. I think even if there's a little bit of adversity at first, they're still going to fight through that. Obviously, I don't think they can go down 27-0 like they did against the Chargers, against Patrick Mahomes. But it's going to be big. Just keep the game into the fourth quarter, and then just let the team try to make a play there. It's obviously a tall task, but just everything that the Jags have done ever since they went 3-7, I don't think you can count them out for anything.
Yeah, no, I think the win last week has already made it like beyond a successful season. So definitely a lot to look forward to in the future here. But yeah, I think that's a very reasonable outlook on the game against the Chiefs for sure. So how about you, Axton? Finally, you got the Chiefs back in action after the ever so clutch first round bye. So tell me about what you're most confident in about your Chiefs in general, but especially against the Jags, and what would you be the least confident in this matchup, if any?
I would have to say my confidence lies most within Andy Reid. He's just kind of proven to us all year long that he can make those right decisions, and he kind of just puts it in the hands of the players on big plays and things like that. He makes the right calls, but we don't always execute in clutch situations like this. So I think that's kind of a big thing is just maintaining control of this game and getting a little relaxed, lazy, in turnovers, allowing the offense to the Jacksonville offense to operate smoothly. I think a big thing is for our defense to keep disrupting them. I think earlier in the year, I think it was week 10, when we played Jacksonville first, we were able to get back to Trevor Lawrence and get 4 sacks on him in that game. And I think that's going to be kind of one of the biggest things in this game is just our defense, our defensive line primarily putting pressure on Trevor Lawrence and just trying to force any kind of turnovers. And I'd say that's probably where my weakness lies as well, is because our defense hasn't really always performed satisfactory, I guess you could say. We've kind of been bottom of the league in about every category you could think of. But what we do have, I think, going for us is kind of our defense against the run. If we can kind of jam them up and make Trevor Lawrence throw the ball a lot, I think that's going to be our best chance to really gain control. And then converting on offense, we just really got to get first downs and just, like I say, have control over the game, inch by inch, first down by first down, and just converting. We just got to convert and stay ahead of the game, stay ahead in this game. So there's Andy Reid. Andy Reid's the confidence. The defense is kind of my worrisome this week. So we'll see.
Gotcha. Yeah. I too would have a lot of confidence in Andy Reid. It is a battle of two very good coaches for sure, but Andy Reid definitely has more than enough of experience, and where the Chiefs' defensive struggles lie, the offense has been firing and on all cylinders. I was a little skeptical of that coming into the season, without Tyreek Hill, of course, and it was like Tyreek who, you know what I mean? Like it just like seemed like they just were back to their old ways, and Mahomes didn't skip a beat, and very well could win. He could be the league MVP, after doing what he did. So really, the game plan most teams should have going up against the Chiefs is just try to put up as many points as possible. Just try to maintain like just try to outpace them, right? That was the sort of the game plan that I figured like the Ravens would have to have against the Bengals last week, with the depleted offense of the Ravens. You're just going to want to try to score more points than the Bengals because they seem a little bit more outmatched there. But yeah, obviously that was a closer game than what we all thought. But yeah, I would feel pretty confident in the Chiefs here. You just don't want to like blow it and do something stupid. You know what I mean? So as long as you kind of keep things steady, just keep the ball moving, I think things will be good there. I am curious if we're going to see any more like ring around the rosy type stuff, or if they'll just have like normal huddles in this one, like what they pulled against the Raiders there in Week 18. But yeah, I don't know. But very very much excited for this one for sure. But yeah, so appreciate you guys all coming on. And one more time, we'll all just go around and just say where people can find you online, and just mention the content that you got coming out for us. So we'll start with you, Axton.
Again, you can find me on Twitter at Harding_3. I'm usually on there. If I'm not posting myself, I'm usually retweeting or interacting in some way, shape, or form with people, guys like Steve and anybody that I come across. So you can find me on Twitter. You can find any content and podcast videos and things like that on anything IDP Guys, IDPguys.org, YouTube channel. We even have a Discord chat for subscribers and such. So that's where you'll find me.
And I got to throw this out there. Axton had a very good waiver wire show throughout the course of the season. So maybe we'll get a little bit more of that next year. Not sure, but at least this season that was very successful. So you definitely got a lot going for you, buddy. That's awesome.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. All right, Brandon, where can people find you, and what do you got coming out again?
Yeah, so on Twitter, you can find me on at HeyB3. And again, on IDP Guys, really diving into rookies now, do some profiles possibly do some podcasts, talking about that. And then for Dynasty Nerds, really diving on, the Debbie landscape, the transfer portal and everything like that. So just, be on the lookout for that. And thanks again, Steve, for having me on. Go Jags.
There you go. All right, Ryan, send us home.
All right, you can once again find me on Twitter at Ryan Ramsaran. We'll have some articles going out on RotoViz, RotoBaller, and then this offseason, Dynasty Nerds and Dynasty Pros. And yeah, check me out on Twitter, putting some more betting content. And if you're into movies and movie tweets, I'll put a lot of those too. And yeah, thanks for having me on again, Steve.
Yep, you got it. And again, I would say best of luck to your Giants, but I'm really not going to mean it. So I'm hoping that the Eagles win this one. But yeah, I appreciate you guys coming on. Best of luck to your teams, except for Ryan. And yeah, we'll have a fun weekend here and a very busy off season as we are all pretty strong dynasty writers and players. So that'll be fun. Lots to look forward to there. That's going to be it. That is the divisional round preview, part one. The next part, we will cover the Bengals, Bills, Cowboys, and 49ers. But until then, best of luck and keep climbing.